Here to present our first award is Max Oldham. Mr. Oldham is a second-year student studying politics and government at Western Colorado University, and he is here to present the 2019 Street Law Educator of the Year Award to his former teacher, Kelly Jones-Wagy. Please join me in giving Mr. Oldham a round of applause.
Thank you. In contradiction to David, I actually find DC a little bit warmer. I come from Gunnison, where we get about negative 20-degree weather, so much warmer here. But to start, I would say not only an educator, not only a world traveler, and not only a leader, but Kelly Jones-Wagy has been an inspiration for not just myself, but for dozens, if not hundreds, if not thousands of students, not just in Colorado, but all around the United States. She is the one who had sparked my innovation. She's the one who got me interested in my political career. She's nurtured that spark and helped it grow ablaze, and is the one who also helped me with my diplomatic knowledge in not just her government class my sophomore year of high school, but also in her more rigorous politics courses my senior year of high school as well. Kelly is the one who helped me find my passion in life, I would definitely say. Both of which, not just serving, but I would also say arguing, or as Kelly would say, debating. Kelly is the one who helped me and drove me to serve over 300 hours of community service within my high school. I was recently elected as the student body president at Western Colorado University, and I also sit on the Gunnison City Council. If it wasn't for Kelly, I don't think I would be here. But thank you. I am honored and grateful to become the product of academia that I have become, and inspired and brought to fruition by none other than the Street Law Educator of the Year, Miss Kelly Jones-Wagy.
I'll start as soon as I finish crying. Thanks, Max. So when I began my teaching career 13 years ago, I did what every first-year teacher does. I begged, I stole, and I borrowed from anyone who would let me. I was blessed with two great colleagues to keep me sane, Emily and Ross, who became great friends, and two veteran teachers, Michelle and Barb, who all but adopted me. And about halfway through that first year, I was introduced to a government teacher's pot of gold, the Street Law website, a place where I could download free resources for my classroom, which meant that I didn't have to reinvent the wheel every night before I went home. And I could still afford to put gas in my car to get back to work the next morning. I was reminded of things that I had forgotten existed, like the fact that the sun did still indeed shine, and that my family was awake on weekdays. In my classroom, my students were able to access landmark Supreme Court cases for the first time. They dove into the constitutional background of Brown v. the Board and Marbury v. Madison, and then took great delight on the day that I couldn't remember Marbury's first name as they yelled out, "William!" Because correcting the teacher is kind of the highlight of a class. Every semester, I ask my government students to tell me what they already know about government and what they want to know about government. And each year, their interests are a little bit different than the year before. In 2011, they wanted to learn about the constitutional protections regarding hate speech, as Snyder v. Phelps made its way to the Supreme Court. In 2015, they wanted to learn about how Shelby v. Holder might change the Voting Rights Act of 1965. And last year, they were fascinated by the Masterpiece Cake Shop arguments because it hit a little close to home. In each instance, I have been able to use the materials made available to educators by street law to help my students understand the fundamental rights that are guaranteed to them in the Constitution and how to exercise those rights in their communities. When I tell people that I teach high school government for a living, they usually respond with, "Oh, that's rough. I hated my high school government class." I'm hoping that in 10 to 15 years, my students can just stop at, "Oh, that's rough." Because I love what I do, and I have probably learned as much from my students at Overland as they have learned from me. Probably the most enjoyable and yet terrifying thing about being a government teacher is talking about the hard stuff. There isn't a government topic that we won't discuss in my classroom. Not because I'm looking to stir up controversy, but because if we only talk about what's easy in the safety of my classroom, then how will they ever learn to talk about the hard stuff outside of it? We've discussed abortion rights, same-sex marriage, criminal justice reform, immigration, religious freedom, terrorism, hate speech, and gun rights. Usually not in the same day, but there's a first time for everything. Our discussions have never been about whether or not my students agree or disagree with an issue, but who has the power to make the decisions and how a person can go about changing a policy they disagree with. My job as their government teacher isn't to teach them what to think, but to teach them how to think for themselves. Now, I can't stand up here and say that the last few years of teaching government has been all sunshine and roses. There have been some difficult moments, like November 9th of 2016, when Max was in my government class. And we spent the entire class period talking about Nate Silver, margins of error, and the Electoral College. Or walking into class last Thursday and being asked if I'd read all 448 pages of the Mueller report 45 minutes after it was released. I'm good. I'm not that good. But on a more serious note, it's been difficult for my students to talk about political issues without getting angry. And one of the major barriers to critical thinking is emotions. When people become emotional about a topic, facts no longer matter. And a civil society and discourse begin to break down. So when I received an email near the end of last school year asking for applicants to a program through street law called New Perspectives, I was intrigued by the description. Help people with different beliefs and backgrounds converse with one another about important issues in a civil and productive way. Okay. I spoke with a colleague about the program, and we both decided to apply. We figured, in this political atmosphere, we'd take all the help we could get. So Tim Lorenz and I were both chosen as New Perspective Fellows, and were flown out to Washington, D.C. last July to be trained by Jen Wheeler and Chris Elnicki and their amazing team in the process of deliberations. I was hoping that the deliberation method would give me a new strategy to help my students talk to people they didn't see eye to eye with. It gave me that, but so much more. The students were able to look at the other side of an argument and see why someone might disagree with them. They saw what the problems with their positions might be. They discussed where they could produce effective solutions and find compromise between both sides. Beyond that, it brought members of their school and community into the classroom. Local legislators, historians, state school board members, local law enforcement, school and district administrators, college professors, lawyers, and teachers from other departments. I watched as 35 high school seniors passionately discussed whether or not there should be a federal ban on oil and gas fracking. Then explained in great detail what Proposition 112 would mean for the oil and gas industry, the environment, and the economy in Colorado to members of the community. I don't remember knowing that stuff in high school. My students have been empowered to make changes on issues they feel passionate about, and they know they're capable of working with their elected officials. The importance of civic education cannot be overstated in 2019. Well, I cannot guarantee that all of my students leave my class as civically engaged as Max. I hope they all leave with the potential to be. I'll conclude by thanking Street Law for all of the fantastic resources over the years, the New Perspectives program, my amazing colleagues at Overland and in the Cherry Creek School District, who are too numerous to name, my parents, Peggy and Preston, my sisters, Carrie and Courtney, my husband, Jack, our brand new 16-year-old daughter, Ronnie. I'll explain to anybody who wants to know later. Our adorable 5-year-old son, William. There's not a relationship to the other thing. And thank you all, and enjoy the rest of your evening.